Welcome to Sports from the Couch.
I gotta say, it's the stupidest thing in sports.
With your host, Mike Mercado.
Players cannot stand him. Coaches cannot stand him. Most importantly, the fans can't stand him.
Brought to you by Mercado Airwaves.
I'm gonna say it once, and hopefully I'm wrong, but it's a disaster waiting to happen.
That is so bad, that is absolutely brutal.
Hello and welcome in, friends, to another edition of Sports from the Couch here on Mercado Airwaves. Thank you for making us a part of your day. It is Thursday, October 29, 2020, in the beautiful city of Chicago. Before we get to our picks, because it is Thursday, which means Week 8 is here in the NFL, we got to make some confidence picks, friends. Let's take care of some housekeeping notes. You can follow me all over social media. I'm on Twitter at Mike M Media. I'm also on Instagram at Mike Mercado Media. The show is on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. And you guys can like, rate, review, and share us on all the major podcast platforms. We are growing because of you guys. So please continue with the likes, the shares, the reviews, wherever you get your favorite podcast at Mercado Airwaves. Patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves is where you become a producer, get our interviews ad-free and before anybody else with athletes and celebrities, be able to win contest prizes, and so much more at Patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. We have swag, Teespring.com/Mercado Airwaves, just in time for the holiday season. Check out what we have at Teespring.com/Mercado Airwaves. We're on Facebook. Like us at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube. YouTube.com/Mercado Airwaves Network. And if you want to see what we're doing in the whole entire network family, from the Gone Missing podcast, our sister podcast, to the Good Brothers and Outreach Radio Chicago, the Quarantine Files, and everything else, just look us up on Twitter and give us a follow at Mercado Airwaves. It is Thursday, which means it is time to make some confidence picks. Before we really get into all that, I do have to get not just some housekeeping notes, but I guess what everybody wants me to talk about. First of all, the reason why we're not on camera today is we're doing some updates on some of the software. We will have camera for when we do our next video, our next episode of Sports from the Couch, and we're going to talk about Tony La Russa being hired by the Chicago White Sox. If you're following me on social media, if you've been following me on social media since this rumor first started and now that it's official, I have been like a lot of different people. I'm not even a White Sox fan. And I've been like a lot of different people where I did not want to see this hire happen. And sure enough, here we are. I mean, 2020 in a nutshell, huh? But we're not going to talk about that. Here is a football Thursday, so we'll talk about that in the next episode, and we'll have the camera set up. So kind of killing the two birds with one stone. Yes, we will be talking about Tony La Russa and the hellfire storm that was that hire. We will have the camera up, but today we're just going to do the picks. So thank you guys for joining us, and we'll get right into it. Thursday Night Football starts off with the NFC South with Atlanta at Carolina. No Christian McCaffrey today. It will be Mike Davis again. Interesting matchup, lots of offense. The weather is supposed to be really bad. They were projecting like horrible weather earlier on this morning. Now it seems like it's going to be a little bit more manageable. With that, here's the interesting thing. I definitely think that the Atlanta Falcons probably have better offensive weapons, right? Like we all agree on that stance, but I think Carolina's a better team. This seems like a game Atlanta would win, though. This is a tough one. This is what's really hard about divisional matchups, is if this was Carolina against, like, the Jets or against the Texans or against the Giants, somebody with a bad record as well, I would go with Carolina. And if this was Atlanta going against one of those teams, I would go with Atlanta. But the fact that these are two teams that know each other very well, it's a capable quarterback in Teddy Bridgewater. Obviously, Matt Ryan is always good to go off any single game. I guess in this matchup, I'm going to go with Carolina, the better of the two teams, but I wouldn't be surprised if Atlanta wins this one. I'm not really confident about this matchup, but we'll go with that one. The Colts taking on the Detroit Lions, and again, this one is Indianapolis has a top-tier defense, has some interesting weapons on offense. I've always been a Phillip Rivers guy, but until he does anything else this season, he's kind of just like the old body that's continuing this. You know, the difference between him and like a Big Ben, it's really interesting. Right? Like, they've all taken a lot of damage. They've all played a lot of football. Big Ben, more football than most because he's gone to Super Bowls. And the difference in the way that you feel confident with them under center. Detroit will Detroit. I mean, that's the crazy thing, right? They lucked into a win against Atlanta, like a lot of teams do, just like Chicago did, right? So in this matchup, I'm going to go with the better defense, the better team. I'm going to go with the team that has a chance to cause some havoc in the playoffs. Maybe not beat the Chiefs, but at least be in the consideration for a run at the Super Bowl. I'll go with the Colts in this matchup. We have the Rams and the Dolphins. So we won't talk about Monday Night Football right here. We'll talk about that in just a little bit, about the Chicago Bears and that pathetic performance that they had on Monday Night Football. Did the Rams get right? Are the Rams a good team? I mean, we see what happens when Tampa Bay plays one team and they get destroyed, but Tampa Bay plays this team and they beat them. The Rams play this team and it's the boxing UFC mentality. If I beat this fighter, but this fighter beat this guy, but that guy beat me, who's the real champ? Who's the real good one? I mean, we'll figure it out come playoffs. But if the Rams do what they did, where they just scheme the right way, they put Jared Goff in the right positions against a defense like that, yeah, the Rams can make some noise in the NFC. And that's just a stacked division over there in the West. Miami, we'll see with Tua. I'm hoping that he has a good showing. You know, I'm not the big Alabama fan. I don't like Alabama all that much. So I'm hoping he does well, though, in Miami. And if for nothing else, it's always good just to see more good quarterbacks around the league to just show how incompetent the Bears are at getting a QB. But we'll talk about that again in just a little bit. We'll go with the Rams in this matchup. Raiders taking on Cleveland. How will Vegas do against a team that kind of mirrors them, right? A lot of offensive weapons, a lot of hype, a lot of sizzle. You want to see some of the steak in this matchup? With all the old cliches of like, how good are these guys and how good are they going to be in the long term? I mean, Cleveland losing Odell Beckham, that's a big hit. They don't have Nick Chubb. But Vegas, you know, it's interesting. They've had the COVID scares. I think I'm going to go with Vegas in this matchup. Simply because Cleveland just doesn't have good vibes from them right now. And, you know, them going to Cleveland will be interesting. But again, these two teams look like teams that could go 8-8, 9-7. So, like, they have to win something. I'll go with Vegas in this matchup. Green Bay, Minnesota. I mean, Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, Jamal Williams, they didn't even have Aaron Jones, and they decided to just go absolutely off in that game. And Minnesota, you talk about the drop-off from a team that a lot of people thought was going to be a Super Bowl contender, and they're just hanging on. And it'll be interesting to see what happens if they end up with a really bad record. What do they do with Kirk Cousins? You know, in some multiverse, if they end up with Trevor Lawrence, would they go after Trevor Lawrence? I would assume so, right? They're not married to Kirk Cousins, I don't think. But I mean, you pay Dalvin Cook, and this is kind of what happens. So I'm going to go with Green Bay in this matchup, and they just seem like a team, again, where that Tampa Bay game where they got smoked, that they started off hot, but then it just ended up going to the crapper. Again, it's the fighter mentality. And I am not looking forward to see what the Packers do against the Bears. Oh, dear God, that does not sound fun. It's coming. It just doesn't sound fun. How about this one? The New England Patriots and the Buffalo Bills. Any year, it didn't matter how good Buffalo could be, the prospect of how good Buffalo can be. If this was the original, the old school New England Patriots, it wouldn't have mattered. You would always go with New England. Even if they lost, you knew long term it just didn't matter. Doesn't feel like that right now. And I know I was very bullish about Cam Newton, where I thought Cam Newton was going to be the answer, an MVP candidate. He hasn't looked right. I still think he was the right answer for the Bears. Just because it doesn't work out where he landed doesn't mean it wouldn't have worked out over here or that wasn't the smart decision to be made. With that being said, kind of like what's going on with the White Sox. But with that being said, Buffalo's a better team. Buffalo has all the upside. Buffalo has the defense. They have the running game. They have the young quarterback. They're going to make mistakes. Bill Belichick is going to make Josh Allen have a long night. That doesn't mean that Josh Allen can't do what he's going to do. And I could totally just see it now. He only throws for like 197 yards, but has 2 rushing touchdowns. Devin Singletary touched the ball like 37 times. Some weird stat like that. And Buffalo wins a game 17-10. So I'm going to go with Buffalo in this matchup. Kansas City, New York. I just hope you guys have fun on Sunday. Just you guys stay healthy. We're going Kansas City. Nothing else to be said. Don't say anything else about this matchup. I don't want to hear any upset specials, nothing. Kansas City. Steelers, Ravens. This is a matchup. You know how every generation has like their marquee matchups? For me, growing up I was 10 years old in 2000, and 20 years old in 2010. So that entire decade, having these two teams just go at it against each other, I don't know about this matchup. Baltimore is the favorite. Pittsburgh, I think, is a better team. I mean, say what you will about the excitement of Lamar Jackson. I love Lamar Jackson. I'll ride and die with Lamar Jackson. But Pittsburgh's the better team. I believe so. And the running game of Baltimore hasn't looked all that great. They have that three-headed monster that really isn't looking like that. A lot of it has to do with the way you have to scheme with Lamar Jackson and what he does to keep you honest. I want to see the deep ball. I want to see the accuracy. There's a lot. When you're Lamar Jackson, you're put on a pedestal right now, and the microscope is under you. Everything you do is just defined and magnified, obviously. So I'm expecting a lot from Lamar Jackson in this matchup against a really good Pittsburgh defense. Same thing with Big Ben, but here's the difference. I've seen Big Ben against good defenses come up big. I've seen him as the underdog. I've seen him on the road. I've seen it all with him. I don't have to like him, but I've seen him do it. So it's the same thing with Lamar, and it's early. It's midway through the season. But this is an interesting matchup. I'm going to go with Pittsburgh. I'm hoping Baltimore has a big game, obviously, for fantasy football-wise, but I'm going to go with Pittsburgh in this matchup. We have the Titans and Cincinnati. I'm going to go with the Titans on this one. I think the Titans are a real team. I think they're, obviously a contender. I don't think they're a favorite. I don't think they're going to beat Kansas City at any point. And that's usually the litmus test, right? Like, that's who we're matching up against. I like what Cincinnati's doing. They've obviously waved the white flag when it comes to they're going to start just getting rid of people, but you got to go with the better team. Joe Burrow is going to win a lot of upset games, just not this year, maybe next year. But he's the goods. He's the real deal. But I'm going to go with Tennessee in this matchup. We have the Chargers and the Broncos in a divisional matchup. This one's pretty fun. I guess I'm going to go with the Chargers in this one. And you talk about exciting young quarterbacks with Justin Herbert, but I mean, Denver they're just going to make it ugly, and depending on how the weather is in Mile High, it could really determine how this game goes. And this is definitely the type of game where a divisional rival will upset somebody. And so keep an eye on this one. And if you guys are new to the show, we will go ahead and give our confidence points to it. And, of course, thank you for joining us. Usually we're live on camera, but we're doing some different stuff today to upgrade the studios. But with that, we do update our picks and whatnot. So make sure you guys are following us on Twitter at Mike M Media and at Couch Sports Talk to see if we've changed any of these picks. So I'm going to go with the Chargers in this one, but I might switch to Denver depending on how injuries and some weather reports come out. And here we go. Let's go ahead and talk about the Saints and the Bears. The Saints, even without Michael Thomas, they have a game changer. They have a cheat code. They have somebody that just wrecks every game plan you have, and that's Alvin Kamara. So just with that alone, that gives them the lead. That gives them the head start. That's just the advantage that they have. Khalil Mack hasn't been practicing. Allen Robinson hasn't been practicing. That offense was absolute garbage on Monday Night Football. And, okay, I'm not going to get angry. Okay, maybe I'm going to get a little angry. But after what I've seen with Tony La Russa and the Chicago White Sox, I'm not going to go so hard on Matt Nagy anymore. Should he relinquish calling plays? I don't know. 2 reasons. Does he have the personnel to run his offense? I don't know. And second of all, does he have the mindset to get rid of the play calling? I mean, think about it. Let's say you were hired because you had one particular skill that you were really good at. And you're doing the skill and you suck at it, or at least the results have really sucked. And then they tell you, well, why don't you get rid of that one? Well, the next step from you relinquishing calling plays is relinquishing your damn job. So what is it in his idea to get rid of it? Why would Matt Nagy do that? The real problem comes back down to 2 things: ownership and the GM. The owners aren't selling the team. So what's the next thing? The GM. Should Ryan Pace be able to pick another quarterback? Should he have another crack at the draft? And this is what kills me about if you get rid of Matt Nagy. I'm not saying I love Matt Nagy. I'm not saying that you don't have any validation for wanting to get rid of him or having some type of replacement. But you are just one step closer to being the Cleveland Browns or some of these other garbage organizations like the Jacksonville Jaguars over history of constantly changing coaches, having a carousel of quarterbacks. You've already done that, but no stability in an organization. Look around the NFL. It's the teams that have a foundation. They don't have to win the Super Bowl every year. They don't have to win 13 games every year. They have to be competitive. They have to be competent. Is Ryan Pace competent to you? Absolutely not, at least from what you've seen. Look at that offensive line. You don't have to be any sort of expert. If you saw that offensive line and you got one guy off season who, quite frankly, wasn't all that good to begin with, and this is always with the caveat, they're in the NFL, they're good enough to play football, but not good enough to win you a caliber of player to help you win a Super Bowl, to get you to another level, and you think that's good enough. Let's move on. It's the same nonsense. And then you hear these press conferences, they tell you the same damn thing. And maybe they're genuine about it. I do think Matt Nagy does speak from the heart. But I'm sick about hearing the same thing like, yeah, you guys are right, we have to incorporate the run more. Yeah, you're right, we have to get the tight end involved more. Are you sure? Because you're giving Harris a lot of plays that he's dropping. I mean, it just is. Why is Ted Ginn still on the team? I don't know what Ryan Pace was doing. And this has been the consistent thing since he got here. This is what we've been talking about. And the last 2 years, this is what we've been talking about. From Mike Glennon on. When those quotes came out about Deshaun Watson, should have been enough for a red flag for anybody who was still a believer. This team, more than likely, even at their record, even after losing that game, the Chicago Bears are probably going to be playoff contenders. They don't deserve it. I don't care how good the defense has looked. At times, there were still points in this season where they've given up red zone points. We saw the graphic come up on Monday Night Football. But second place in the NFC North. 5-2. Do you feel like they're a 5-2 team and then you look at the Green Bay Packers at 5-1? Do you look at this 5-2 team the same way you look at the Arizona Cardinals or the LA Rams or the 49ers or the Seattle Seahawks? How about the Buccaneers? You beat Tampa Bay. That was a nice win because you've seen what they were able to do. And we'll find out what happens against New Orleans. New Orleans haven't been world beaters. They do have the X factor of Alvin Kamara on there. They do have a decent defense. And we won't even talk about the NFC East. At least you're better than that. But I don't understand it. I said you were 5-2, 5-2 is 5-2. At least when they were 5-1. Hey, 5-1, you take the record, you move forward. But 5-2, you're not feeling good at that record. That's the worst part about it. Is there's no confidence in this team. And in the NFL, where any year anything can happen, to not have a team that can score more than 19 points, that doesn't average more than 19 points in 2 years. Come on, man. That's frustrating. And with that, I guess I'll go with New Orleans. Both these teams are pissing people off. So I'll go with New Orleans in this matchup, but who knows? Any given Sunday. San Francisco, Seattle, speak about an awesome division. San Francisco just keeps surprising people. They refuse to die, even though half their roster is missing at any given point. Seattle making some moves on defense. I'm going to go with Seattle on this one. Obviously, a divisional matchup, anything can happen. I really like Seattle. And what happened against Arizona was really interesting, really crazy. But again, a divisional matchup and two very fun offenses. I'll go with Seattle on this one, though. And Sunday Night Football, geez, they just can't help themselves, can the NFL. Dallas, Philadelphia, just keep going with the butt kissing that is the NFC East, even when a 7-9 team is going to make the playoffs and host a playoff game. I'm going to go with Philadelphia. Watch them lose this one, but I don't know if Andy Dalton's playing. They're probably going to have the rookie play. Ezekiel Elliott might touch the ball anywhere from 10 times because they're down by so much, or 25 times because there's the 0-0 game. I'll go with Philadelphia beating the hell out of Dallas probably. And on Monday Night Football, Tampa Bay, Tom Brady, all over ESPN. They're loving that against the New York Giants. I'll obviously go with Tampa Bay, if you will, in this matchup. The New York Giants are better than the Jets, so there's that, I guess. And with that, guys, let's go ahead and put some confidence points in these order. Looking around, let's see if there's anything I'm super confident in. I am pretty confident in Green Bay, so for right now, we'll put them up there. And we will obviously run these back down if you're not watching, if you're listening to us on the podcast platforms, so that you can see where our crazy brains are going. And I keep looking around. Okay, well, Kansas City over the Jets is going to be number one, obviously, and Green Bay will be number two. And kind of looks like that might be a Super Bowl matchup, so that's pretty interesting. And we keep looking around. I can see Tampa Bay. Yeah, I mean, obviously they're looking better. Antonio Brown going to be there. I don't know if he's playing in this game, but I will put them ahead right underneath Green Bay. And this is the first time I've had a lot of confidence points on Tampa Bay, but we'll see how that works out for me. Carolina, Atlanta, I'm going to put down. Keep looking around. I guess this is where I will put the Rams right below Tampa Bay. And Indianapolis right there. I like Indianapolis at 10 points against Detroit because Detroit can still put up points. They still can make some noise. I like Tennessee. The thing about Cincinnati is Cincinnati can obviously put up a lot of points. I just think Tennessee's a better team. So we keep looking around. And I think Philadelphia is definitely beating Dallas. So I'll put them a little bit more midway. And Vegas, I'm not really comfortable with all that high against Cleveland, so we'll put them down. And we are getting ready to make these picks official. And again, if anything changes, make sure you're following us on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk and at Mike M Media to keep up to date if we have changed our mind in any of these picks because of injuries, weather, etc., my friends. I like Seattle beating San Francisco a little bit more than... No, that's probably right around there. I'm pretty confident in some of these, how this is looking now. Put this right there. And we'll put that right there. And I think we're good, guys. So we'll run this bad boy down. At 14 confidence points, I have the Chiefs all over the Jets. And if you don't, let me know your inside scoops. 13 confidence points on Green Bay over Minnesota. 12 confidence points on Tampa Bay beating the Giants. 11 confidence points on the Rams beating Miami. 10 confidence points on Indianapolis over Detroit. 9 confidence points on Tennessee over Cincinnati. 8 confidence points on Philly over Dallas. 7 confidence points on Buffalo over New England. 6 confidence points on Seattle over San Francisco. 5 confidence points on New Orleans over Chicago. 4 confidence points on the Steelers over Baltimore. 3 confidence points over Denver. 2 confidence points on Carolina over Atlanta. And 1 confidence points on Vegas over Cleveland. And that is it for us on this edition of Sports from the Couch here on Mercado Airwaves. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Make sure you're following us all over social media. I'm on Twitter at Mike M Media. I'm also on Instagram at Mike Mercado Media. And the show is on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. You can like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/Mercado Airwaves Network. We're on every major podcasting platform, guys, so please like, rate, review, and share us wherever you get your favorite podcast at Mercado Airwaves. Please take care of yourself, take care of each other. We will see you next time here on Sports from the Couch on the Mercado Airwaves Network. I'm Mike Mercado.